You in there? Can you see everything?
I'm in the building, brother. I'm in the building. What's up?
All right. I'm about to get logged in on my other phone here. It tells you, we running dummy phones. Got nobody here yet, but this is gonna be our test run, so should be good.
Yeah, that's fine. This is the first time I'm going live on Instagram, so this is all new for me. But I figured it out with relative ease. I'm trying to turn these comments off, though.
Is people already comment on yours or on my end?
No, I said I'm trying to figure out how to turn the comments off.
You want to turn them off? Oh, okay.
Off, so that I can't see them while I'm speaking. But you got people coming in, man. So give them a few seconds. You got some comments.
Now you got some people coming in. Okay, we getting a party started. I can feel that. I'm just making sure we're good to go on the setup and everything. Well, I think we're looking good. So let's get the show on the road.
Let's do it.
Got my pen out. Take this down here. This out the way.
So you got. I don't want to mispronounce this guy's name. Damaris. Asking how can he help?
Is it a little too high up or we looking solid? I'm just trying to get logged on my phone.
Check your comments, man.
Yeah. All good. There we go. All right. So the subject at hand, we all know is.
Let's talk about it.
Black men are barely average. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're discussing today. Black men being barely average, right?
What you mean when you say that?
So what does average mean? You take the sum of everything, add it up, and then you divide it by how many variables you have. So you add whatever the range is, 10, 20, 30. You add them all up and you divide it. That you come up with an average number, which means that's your middle, your median, whatever terminology you want to use. So that is what we classify as average.
Right.
And what we commonly hear in the dating world, commonly hear in the exchange is that black men are barely average. But then we expect all the praise, all the glory, women to, bow our feet like, oh my God, you do this, that, and third, but you're just barely meeting what's required. So what do you feel about that when you hear that black men are barely average?
I heard this before on social media. This is something I see floating around a lot, man. This whole we do the bare minimum but want to be praised. And the first thing that comes to mind, man, is that, we're not worthy of respect unless we're providing an above average or luxury lifestyle for a woman. And that's kind of, it's challenging to deal with, right? Because as black men, we're not like one monolithic group. We have men that span from the bottom of the totem pole all the way up to the top. But it seems like if you're not above or towards the upper echelon, that statement says that, hey, you're not worthy of respect from black women. So, that's the first thing that come to mind. And then number two, Kevin Samuels always uses this analogy when he talks to women, and I think it really underscores that point a lot, man. It's like, you got a Hispanic guy that could come here from another country, that could cross the border, cross the Rio Grande River, not have a job, not speak the language, not have a place to live, stand outside a Home Depot, and they go home and they still get respect from women. But as black men, we gotta perform miracles. We got to walk on water like Jesus before we get, some level of respect. So that's the first things that come to mind when you say that.
So I heard you mention respect. So it's just if you're not able to provide certain things that they desire, they won't respect you. Is that what you commonly hear or ran into in your personal life?
I mean,
friends and family?
You tell me. You tell me, do Okay, so let me give you an example, right?
Mhm.
How often is it that a black man could be just a regular guy, average guy, like you said, average, straight down the middle. Maybe he earned $50,000 a year. Is that guy spoken about with respect?
Typically, you hear about just not being able to give and do certain things that are not conducive to what's wanted, needed, and desired. That's typically a big thing that's being heard or said about black men.
So
Um,
you gotta say it to me like I'm a 4-year-old. What you mean when you say that?
well, if you only making 50 to 60 thousand dollars a year, that might be 35 to 40,000 cash after taxes, and
Right.
so what can you really do for a woman when that is all you're offering?
Well, that's
If she
the
vacation, huh?
well, that's the way they saying that's the way they selling it. Is what can you really do for them if that's all you make?
Yeah, you typically see, as they call it, the luxury lifestyle is now a big push. So you'll run into this logic of, you know, she needs vacations multiple times a year, possibly international vacations. She needs a luxury car. The common one I hear is a G-Wagon. Literally, I've asked so many women just talking. I'm like, what's, because I'm in the cars. I
Right.
always ask them, what's your dream car? What do you want to drive? And the G-Wagon is like the first thing a lot say.
Right.
GS,
But
flat out.
in reality, what do they drop? Are they G wagon? And are they even in that same family of
Um, you know,
vehicles?
Mercedes-Benz has catered to us and created an entry-level C-Class. Um, they created a couple classes. I know C-Class is a big one. The CLA, that popped out, and I think every person that was black I've seen who made over, 50, 60, $70,000 bought one because you got the Mercedes look, luxury, and obviously the imagery from outsiders, but the car started at 29,999 or 995 when it first was introduced. So that's the same price as a fully loaded Honda Civic. Not a Civic, a Copper will be a Honda Accord, Toyota Camry. At the time they had them out the Ford Fusions. So it was like, why drive that when you can have the luxury look, the luxury feel, the luxury attention grabbing over Mercedes-Benz. So they came out with that, and they also came out with the GLA class, which is the SUV or compact CUV version
Right.
of that same vehicle for a few $1,000s more. So
To put it in layman's terms, the GLA is the GS3 of Lexuses, but we want GS 430s over here.
yeah,
We don't want no small bodies. We want big bodies only, man.
hey, but who's going to tell you that? You went and got it, the dealership, what you come in there, probably got the test drive by yourself because they're so cheap. Rolled in, rolled out, they treat you like royalty because that's just marketing. You're not going to throw these customers away and you sign on the dotted line for 15% interest based on this Mercedes, and you out here. They got don't forget the fancy mood lighting, the color changing LEDs in the dash and then the footwell and the door panel. So you roll them, but that's not even the average Mercedes. That is the bare minimum entry. But to other people, you look exquisite. So
You got somebody asking how they can join the live in the comments, man.
let me hop on. Yeah, that's why I took him on the phone. Let me see. The marriage request. Let me get him in there. Get him in. Yeah, it's so unfortunate I can't. My phone is not loading. I'm about to give me a full-blown separate plan. It's easy on Facebook. You get on Facebook Live and run it on your computer, but unfortunately you cannot do that on here. So see if I get him in there.
Yeah, you got somebody else. Yeah, he's up.
How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Jane? My good man, what's your name? I never met you, man.
Yeah, man. Hold on. Let me turn up my Bluetooth here.
That we have on here. Can you guys
You're
hear me?
breaking up a little bit, so I can't hear you clearly.
All right, you should be clear now. What's going on?
Okay, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
What's up? What's up?
Yep, I can hear
Hey,
you. The
hey,
text vehicle,
yeah, I got
but
you sent me the text message, James, and I knew this was going to be. You had an interesting topic at hand,
right.
uh, and I like to speak, man. I really do, because I feel like I always got some powerful things that I can deploy towards different subjects. And this subject here, man, is really it's interesting to me, and I can relate to it because I've been in multiple relationships and with individuals that wanted different things, right? And
Right.
as I got older, I got a little bit more. You know what I mean? 20 years ago, I didn't have what I had
Right.
here, right? And so when we look at to like what a woman wants, what they expect out of a man to not make them average, right? Because you were saying like an average is like maybe a 50,000 type of got to make $50,000.
Right.
If the woman that you're trying to attract is looking for somebody that make
$150.
$100,000, you know what I'm saying, or $1 million a year, that's not what I'm not going to even, and yeah, I'm not touching those waters. You know what I'm saying? Why would I want something like that? You know what I'm saying? Why do I want to wake up every day worried about that she want to eat shrimp for breakfast? You know what I mean? And all I'm trying to do is build an empire. You know what? That's not going to relate to me.
Think
If you
about
tell me if you want a G-Wagon, if you can't afford to drive a G-Wagon on your own, what makes you think that I need to give you a G-Wagon? Now, remember I said Target. Right? Now, if this is my wife, I might want my wife in a G-Wagon. I just might want her in that. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So it's going to be okay for me to give her that. But if I'm getting to know you and I'm building with you and, I make 50,000 and you make 50,000, but you didn't even expect for me to give you something like that. Hey, look, you're a great woman, but you're not my target audience. And so therefore I wasn't even looking that direction. And I think that's where a lot of times today where we get lost. And we start to think about, we might look at the woman as different because they want so much. They want a lot. It's just not meant for me to give it to you. You need to go out there and you need to find that guy that's in her target audience that's going to be able to cater to that type of lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Hold on. Let me jump in real quick. We was just talking about that, right? That type of guy. It's like if you think about the entire population of the country versus the number of people in the NBA. It's only like 400 people in the NBA, right? So there's a lot of people in the country that play basketball, but the elite level players is like this many, 1% of the population. You got all of these women looking for that 1%, and everybody else is being excluded. And that's part of the detriment to what's going on in our community is that you got so many good, eligible guys that's doing certain things that can provide stability, can provide a quality of life that's respectable, but can't provide luxury. So now they automatically are disqualified. Go ahead, James. Make sure you was about to say something.
Let me cut in on that. So, Damaris, what you're talking about is a level of discernment. You have reached a certain point in your life, even before the marriage and everything, and you realize that, hey, based on the conversation, based on the talking points, I can't do that, or I'm not willing to do that, or I'm not, interested, whatever. She has a target. That's not in your goal. That's not in your future plans. And so what we're commonly finding is that target, which was let's just throw a number out there, would say only the top 10% of income earning Black men could afford to buy a woman a G-Wagon. We know I was Google it. A G-Wagon is probably what? Pretty sure things start a little over $140,000.
The average range is like 200K for a nice G-Wagon. 200K.
So they're up.
And the reason why I know, James, is because my wife just said something about the G-Wagon, and I had to correct her. And so, James, I know you see some of my stories, what I do for my wife, but I just got her this vehicle. But I'm just saying, it's about 200,000, and I don't think.
Yeah. So $200,000. That's a good house.
That's a
Let
really
me throw another wrinkle in there though. You keep saying your wife, your wife, your wife. Think about how many wives we got. We only got a little bit. We got a lot of girlfriends, a lot of side pieces. They have that expectation that they should enjoy those types of things without having to be somebody's wife. And my thing is, yo, if I'm not married to you, why would I invest to that level, to that extent in you? That don't make no sense.
That's amazing.
That's not something that I think is intelligent for any of us who don't come from money, who trying to build our way to it. That don't make no sense. You only invest in something that you're going to get a return on.
And I totally agree. So it's like any mutual funds, Roth IRAs, CDs, 401ks, any type of investment. If I'm
real
gonna put my
estate.
money, I need to get something in return.
Some
So
kind
I
of
definitely,
return.
and I haven't been single for a long time, so it's really hard for me to speak, to speak on a single man that's trying to grow. Right? I can tell you there was a point in my life where I made $30,000 a year. But my wife, she
Mhm.
was there with me when I was doing that, right?
Right.
And then
Right.
when I made 50,000, when I hit six figures, when I tripled, she was there with me. So the question is, maybe I'm not speaking right. Maybe she do deserve that, right? The G wagon. But my wife know what the see. I'm in my lane. This lady that I married, she knew where I was trying to go.
Right.
I'm not just trying to buy you materialistic things so Joe Blow can see that you got this, right? I got a slew of kids, James. I got kids that to make sure that's well prepared as
How
well.
many kids you
So
got?
why would I got 5 kids.
See?
Wow.
Okay.
I daughter of mine and I married into 4.
Right.
But the thing is these kids are my responsibility, all of them.
Yup.
Every month that's in the house.
Yup.
So why would I let you go out there as a commuter vehicle to go from point A to point B with $200,000? You know what I mean? To just drive around. That's
Right.
just sound ridiculous. And I'm gonna
Especially
tell you
since
right
it's
now,
losing value.
most men is not going there because it takes time to get to a point where it takes time and it takes growth for you to get to a point to even know what investments are, to
So
even
James, let
get
me
to
ask
that.
you this. James, let me ask you this, man. Where
What's
you
up?
think this mentality come from, man? This this
Um,
this men expect to be praised for doing the bare minimum. Where you think that mentality come from, man?
I would have to say, if my honest opinion is that there's just a sense of a lack of respect for what a man does and provides, and it's just as if like nothing you do holds any real value. You work. Most men average more hours than women a year. They usually we're in those fields that have or demand or require overtime. We're in those fields that require longer hours, rotating shifts.
More
I work in
dangerous.
trade. I've been in there since the military days. So outside of the military, I have not ran into many women in the construction field, in the trades industry, in the field services industry, outside of the no disrespect, but out of the cleaning, the general contractor, people who clean up and maintain
Right.
construction. Because
Right.
if we're building, we want to make sure we keep materials and cut off parts of pipes and electrical cables off the floor because that's a slip, trip, and fall hazard. But to stay on the point, those demanding fields, when I travel around, I've only met one female in field services. I'm doing that for 7 years. And as far as the construction industry as a whole, you don't have many women that are hardcore in the trade just are getting into it, but those jobs are heavy time consuming, heavy demanding. So there's a lack of respect for. I've been at work for 12 hours. I'll come in the house. If I text you, work was hard, or text you had a bad day, you really should not come at me in the door with problems. You should let me get off, put my dirty work clothes off, my boots off, shower, relax, give me an hour. But that seems to not happen. You taking up too much of your time. What about me? Where we supposed to be going? I thought we was gonna go out tonight. Maybe they asked me for overtime and I stayed extra 2 to 4 hours, but that finances benefit to go for the household. So there's a lack of respect for your work ethic, your skill set, what you're doing, and the time you have to sacrifice today to get to tomorrow. So have you guys experienced a lack of respect in your days beforehand when you're trying to build up and show a woman that, hey, where I am today is not where I'm going to be in 6 months, a year, and 5 years. So this is my plan, my longevity, retirement. Are you willing to get on board? So have you had an issue with being respected for restricting today or restricting and sacrificing parts of today for a better tomorrow? I'll let you, Shavar, go first with that.
Oh yeah, you want me to touch on that? So I went through a period in probably like 2010 to 2012 where I had to be literally the cheapest person that anybody ever knew. I wasn't spending money on nothing. I wasn't going nowhere. I wasn't doing anything extra simply because I had a vision for where I wanted to go. And I
Right.
understood that in order to be able to get there, I had to make some real significant sacrifices. There's
Okay.
been a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, men and women. I really don't think it's a male or female thing when it comes to this. I think it's a cultural thing, right? There was a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that ridiculed me, like that looked at me, that laughed, that cracked jokes. I remember I was the only person with a flip phone. I didn't have an iPhone. They used to crack on me for that. But those same people, 10 years later, look at the progress that I was able to make over that time frame, and they admire it. They are astonished by how far I was able to come, how much I was able to accumulate. So to answer your question, the answer is yes. Like I have experienced that, I would say probably for the last 10, 12 years as I try to climb the ladder to where I am now. And I'm still not at the point that I want to be, but you know, along that journey, man, that's one of the things that you got to overcome is a person's lack of respect for your individual vision. Because as men, we all got a vision, right? And we all headed somewhere. That's unique to us and what we prioritize, what we think is important. Not everybody is going to see your vision or want to follow you to you know where you're going.
Okay, and Damaris, I'll let you take a few to explain. Again, have you been met with as you were building, maybe your young years before marriage, out dating, where there was a lack of respect for, hey, look, I'm here today. Here's my plan, my vision, my goals. So my budget, I have a set budget amount for what I'm spending, blah, blah, blah. What have you experienced prior to or possibly in the starting years when you were dating yours who's now married? What was some issues you possibly have ran into with that?
So to answer that straightforward, absolutely. You know, absolutely. As a man, everybody expects something from you or expect you to be a certain way. Even my mom, you know what I mean? She expected me to be great. You know what I mean? A woman expects before my marriage, and that's what allowed me to recognize what a good marriage was as a good partner, is because all the things I went through before.
You might want to send out a memo letting the rest of us know.
Yeah, let me get those notes, man. Go ahead and send that out.
Send it out. Listen, my wife knows. I should have told her to chime in on this, but my wife, the reason my wife sometimes she get on my nerves today.
That's life.
But she is my biggest supporter and my biggest fan.
Right.
You know what I mean? But before that, I wouldn't have knew what that was because the women that I was with before, it was always about what they can get without putting out there.
Yep.
The hand was always out there, but there was never putting it out to give. It was only to receive. To get straight to your point, man, absolutely. And I think today is done, and it's so like with social media and these outlets that we have out there. Women think that it's, or just people. It could be like you said, Shamar, both sides.
Yeah.
People have expectations, and that's the only thing that matters to them, you know. And what happens to us is when we navigate outside our target audience or who we should be targeting, like Shamar, you said 2010, back then you had a goal. If you wanted somebody to be in your circle, you should have been targeting the people that understand that area.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
that's a fact.
That environment.
That's a fact.
Anybody else? But yes, man, James, who haven't experienced that?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who haven't experienced it? I mean, it's almost the norm. But I mean, yeah, I definitely experienced it. That allowed me to see what a good person is, a good partner is, a good wife is. That's why no matter what I go through with my wife, I understand how much of a good partner she is, because she understands where I'm trying to go. You know, I'm in my lane now. Before I wasn't. And normally when you're not in your lane, that's when you get ran over. You got to stay in your lane.
Now,
and if you don't, experience these hardships.
Now, I have another question, but I do want to take some into consideration thinking about what you're saying. There is a level of respect and understanding for your path and your vision, and clearly she's allowed you to go through your growing pains. Would you just a straightforward, would you say yes or no? She allowed you to go through and make mistakes as you navigated your pathway? Yes.
Absolutely. Not only did she allow me to make the mistakes, she was right there to help pick me up.
Yep.
Because
Okay.
she knew where I was trying to go. You know, she knew she was in my lane. She knew where I was trying to go. So when I made those mistakes, it was like, okay, if you're making mistakes, at least I know you're trying. You know what I mean? Don't keep making the same mistakes. But you know, I'd rather fall forward than not to fall at all. You know what I mean? And she was there. She was with that. She was with that. She understood it.
And that
She understood.
is important. I think that is important. When a lot of men face issues with being called average, struggling women, is that a lot of us don't grow up in two-parent households with a father that teaches you your alignment, shows you directly how you're supposed to look, talk, walk, and treat a wife. So we have to go through and look at social media before social media is big. You just had really
Movies, music.
celebrity. You were really blocked out from how a man is supposed to act. So we're going to have growing pains. Yes, I want to be a wife. I've been married before, right? Yes, so yes, I want a wife in my life. Let me correct that. Yes, I want to be a husband, but I was not given the tools from birth to, you know, when I got involved with my ex-wife and when I met her in March of 2013, but I was still willing to fight the good fight and press on. And what I ran into, and a lot of men typically run into, is that you are not allowed to fail because there is some sort of what word can we possibly use? Subconscious pre-programming that men don't fail. Men
There's
don't.
a stigma around it.
There's a stigma that you're a man. You're supposed to conquer, take over, and make it all happen every time. And your track record is supposed to be 150%.
So let me jump in on that right there, right? I read this book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. She's like a psychologist or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking about the smartest people are not the people that know all the answers to the test when they go in. The smartest people are the people that don't got all the answers, that fail constantly, because through that failure, they learn how to think. They learn how to maneuver. They learn how to accomplish. The people who actually go into a test or exam or any situation already knowing everything, those are the ones that are dumb. So it's a mindset thing that they think men are not supposed to fail at all, especially as you said. A lot of us don't come up with fathers in the house to teach us how to do these things and to provide us an example. So I think I heard you say this before recently, like it's a trial and error thing with us. We try something or we throw it at the wall, see if it stick. It don't stick, all right, we got to go to something else. We try another thing, and through that process, I know for me, I know for y'all, it's probably the same. Y'all was making mistakes, y'all was failing, y'all was messing up money, y'all was doing all kind of stuff. But then after a certain point, all of those lessons coalesce into, damn, I finally figured it out. I got it. I know how to do this. So it's a mindset thing, man. And I think for anybody watching, for anybody a part of this discussion, that's a great book because it'll change your mind about failure. It'll reshape how you think, how you look at failure. Failure is not a bad thing. Failing to fail is a bad thing. Failing is what you're going to grow from.
Hey, so boy, that's a whole another topic, brother. I would love to jump. That's a mindset. I mean, it's all I gotta say is mindset to change your life.
For sure.
Manifestation.
For sure.
You believe, speaking it out in the atmosphere. It will. I'm living witness, brother.
Yep.
It'll change your life, man.
Yeah, me as well, man. I've done things today that 25 years ago I could have never imagined, man. I never saw myself doing it. Even sometimes in the moment, standing there. I remember me and James was in Dubai one time. And we had, I think he was with me. We drank absinthe. We ate like this big spread of food. And then after the fact, I'm kind of drunk off absinthe and I'm standing outside And I'm thinking about all the people in my family, like, yo, they'll never see this. I never thought I would ever see this.
Yeah.
And you have those moments where it's like, damn, you think about it, you plan, you work towards it, and in that moment when you standing there and you realize it, it's like the greatest feeling ever, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is something. Yeah, definitely. I definitely say not having it, but getting a taste. I would say the military definitely opened your world up, or opened our minds and our world up to realize there's more out here than, you know, unfortunately, the street violence, the rap music, the rap culture, and so many things. There's so much world to explore. And a lot of people, you know, I'm 32. You guys are older than me, but you run to people who ain't been on planes yet, don't own passports. We got family members, adults, 50, 60, never left the
Never
country.
been out the state before. No
Never
less
been
on a
out the country.
plane going somewhere.
Yeah,
They haven't
that,
ordered.
that is important. That is key. Let's stick here for another point here. So what's interesting, if you really look at it, about black men being average, the data doesn't match. You know, I was talking to a nice young lady, and we were talking about this. And if I have my own house, if I have my own car, I have a good paying job, financially stable, maybe almost debt free or completely debt free, money saved in the bank, and I'm planning towards ahead. But let's say I do that with $65,000 a year, right? That's my income.
Right.
Why is that? Which is above this? Which is above? The thing is, we call these men average. We label these men average, but truly, those basic bare minimum starters put you above most. So we can. And the thing is, the rap culture got us focused on rappers, basketball players, celebrities, actors, but those men are out of the reach for the majority of women. Sure, you got a great body, workout. You may be able to get one in your inbox. You may be able to get some attention at a show. But is that man trying to wife you up and keep you? 9 times out of 10, no. He's here for a good time, not a long time. So anyways, stick to the subject. Why are these men who are in this position, who have these qualifications that are good, where a woman can move in? You pay all the bills. You can afford to pay all the bills. So essentially her money is expendable to build towards paying his house off, getting a rental property, Airbnb. And as you mentioned earlier, Damaris, put money in stocks, CDs, Roth, everything that's investing towards retirement. Why are those men still labeled as barely average and just enough to get by when they are crushing the competition on the blacks and other races? Because there's a lot of men out here still in apartments, nothing wrong with it, but you want a wife needs to come to your home, come into your kingdom, your castle. So those men who have it still are average. Why are those men still being shot down and viewed, you know, as whatever? Why do you guys? We'll start with you.
You have to clarify who's targeting these people or who's labeling these people as average. Who is they? Who is labeling these individuals average?
Well, we can answer that. We can go on social media. I've dated women and talked to women. I've been sent videos. Of course, you all know the downfall of Derek Jackson. But we'll go on some other ones. Other day, a couple weeks ago, I was on a page with a woman who had 300,000 followers, and she was telling me that there's a plethora of women who, if I get with them, I was talking about going the way of being an electrician, start my own business. Any woman can help you build and grow your business and multiply. That's what women do. You're not dating good women. So she had this projection that I can just get with a black woman, and she's going to help me expand overnight. She can just get me, not literally overnight, but she has the skills, the talent, the wherewithal, and ability overnight. And I'm trying to tell her, those are not everyday run-of-the-mill women. The average income doesn't match what you're talking about. The average career for the career choice doesn't match that, but those women are seen as elite. They get praised. But with you, a man on the opposite, trying to offer the same similar thing, you get shot down. So the target, you can go on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and find women with 300, 200, 300, 400, some even 1 million followers, and they'll say these things in their videos, say these things in their posts, and I've taken the time to go through and read it. And then I've dated women who will send me those women videos. I'm like, that's what you think is the thing? Have you looked at the data? Have you looked at the statistics backing those type of lifestyles and who gets them, who gets access? So it's unfortunately a very common thing because it's spread. We hear it all the time. And so, yes, you've been blessed. You've got yours, been married, but a lot of us out here they want Ruth Chris on the first date. They want luxury rooftop dinners.
I think you
3,
still
4,
gotta
5
you still gotta you still gotta define the day that Damaris is asking about, right? And I think to shine a spotlight on it a little bit,
Okay.
it's the women that subscribe to a certain way of thinking about life, about men, about education, about all of these things. Who's to say who that is specifically, right? Because I don't want to disparage any group of black women particularly. We know they exist, but I'm just saying there's a certain group that subscribe to this way of thinking that feel like men are average if they only make $65,000 a year, right? Then you have women who understand the value of a man's role in their life, the value of a man's presence, that don't necessarily key in on what his paycheck says, but they focus in on his character, his morals, his values, his ability to have a plan, to execute that plan. And I think that's I don't know how you would break it up in terms of percentage. Are there more of these women that look at men and say, hey, if you don't got the bottom line dollar number on your check, you average? Or I don't know. But I think you talking about a specific group with a mindset that's specific to it's all about the bottom line. It's all about the number. And let me just give you said stats, right? You said let's look at the data. Let's talk about individual black income, right? The median salary of black men is $40,370 compared to all men of other races, which is 51. The median earnings of black women is 35,000.
Okay.
Women of all races is 41. So by those numbers, there's more average women than there are average men. Right?
They do outnumber us, so they should technically have a higher number. But
women outnumber men. But I think that the mentality that men have versus the mentality that women have is different, man.
Then can I jump in, James?
Somebody they call them city girls.
Listen though, so the topic is amazing, right? You know, I see where we're trying to go. You know, why do this group of individuals classify us as average, right? When you at a certain level, right? See, the thing is I gotta say, man, the reason why I guess I need it's not resonating right with me, because first of all, James, you can't let anybody just classify you as average.
Of course.
You know what I mean? You have your own definition of who you are anyway. You know what I mean? Shavar, just to give you a little bit about me. I grew up in the inner city of Cleveland, a very rough area. I grew up with alopecia. It's a hair disorder. Yep. You know what I mean? My teeth was real funny looking. You know what I mean? I was real skinny. I can give you the whole 9 yards. The people that classified me as average when I was in high school and when I wasn't meeting the standards of the cool kids or the good kids.
Yeah.
I'm being honest. Those women would do all, and this is, please. I
already know where you're going with it.
I don't want to sound arrogant, so I'm not going to even say.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Those that you didn't think I was where I was going to be. Yeah, you see my social media. What I show on social media is what I do in real life.
Right.
What I'm saying,
you definitely been working for a while. Yeah.
Is what I'm saying is strictly is this: if you stay in your lane, you know what I mean, and you look for the win, and it's gonna be hard, James. Yeah, it's gonna be hard because there's a lot of women out there that want the G-Wagon. Yeah. But if you fish through those women, you know what I mean, you might get lucky, and you might meet that one that's in your lane, and that one that's okay with you making $65,000. What I'm trying to say is, man, you gotta understand. You can't let everybody tell you who you are. They can't classify you as average. You know what I mean? Unless you classify yourself as average, and you gotta stay in your lane when you out there selecting. Now I'm married. It's easier for me to say this than a single man. But it's like when you look for a job. Or you want to take a job taking $9 an hour when you know you can get $30 an hour? That's retarded.
Yeah,
That's just not it. You stay in your lane and you go towards your target audience.
No.
And if you do that, you know, it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow. You didn't meet wealth, riches and wealth overnight. For me, it took me I'm 37 years old.
So I got both of y'all beat. I said I got both of y'all beat then.
It took me a long time,
Yeah,
man.
That's the better part of 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a long time. So if you ask me what you said about that guy making $65,000 a year, he got his own house, he trying to build something. America or whoever this individual you're saying is classifying that dude as average. To him, he's a king. That's the only way I see it. You know what I mean? They're gonna judge you they're gonna judge you all. They're gonna judge you any chance they get. And it's not just this audience of women that we're talking about. It's that if you want to stay in your lane and you find the right audience, man, you will be good, man.
So,
but I don't know. Everything. I'm having a hard time wrapping myself around it. You know, if you can't buy a car, you can't buy a house, or you can't do certain things, that still don't make you. I don't see it that way.
But you know,
I see that person trying to grow.
See, this is right up my alley, right? I like to talk the numbers. That's my thing. That's what I do every single day in my personal and professional life. Is I deal with numbers, right? And when I have these discussions in my personal life with men and women, and we talking about money, and let's take your $65,000 salary as the benchmark, right? I start breaking it down: 65,000 before taxes, 65,000 after taxes. Then we start talking about your lifestyle, how much you allocating towards your living expenses, your bills, how much you got in disposable income. Then we start talking about what are you doing to grow your disposable income, to acquire assets, to do things that's going to put you in position where, although you only make $65,000, you're not limited to what that $65,000 can produce. A lot of times when I talk to people in the discussions that we have, what I come to understand is that they have a very poor understanding of money and what money is supposed to be used for. There's an example of a guy who was a janitor for 30 years, never made more than $30,000 in his life, but he retired a multi-millionaire, not because he made a whole lot of money, but because he took the money that he made and he did something productive with it. That's the difference in how I view money versus the people you talking about that look at that guy as average. They don't view money as the tool, as the hammer you using to build your wealth house, right? They look at money as the tool that they use to acquire things and to have experiences and all of that. So it's just, average is a state of mind. It's not a dollar value. It's not how much money you make. It's how you think about things and how you use your money, man. Because when we talk about numbers, I know, bro, I was making maybe $60,000 before taxes when I was still in the Navy, right at the peak of my salary when I got out the Navy. And yet I had zero debt. I was saving about $2,500 a month. I had my first rental property. My credit score was 850. I'm running laps around everybody around me, even those who make money. So it didn't matter that I was only making $60,000. What mattered is the person that was making 75, 80, 90, they had the luxury vehicle. They was living way above their means. And I was taking every dollar I had, building my stock portfolio and buying real estate and saving money. So the number don't matter. It only matters to the superficial person who don't understand money. To those of us that understand money and investing, you can make wine out of water with any dollar value, really.
So I got to say this real quick. Change. Why do you got Shavar on here? Why? Because we got a lot of things to like Shavar. Like, so somebody like you. I mean, if we know, so it's not about the money, right? So how could you even understand somebody classifying somebody of your stature average? How do you even how can you even speak on this? Like, I'm having a hard time speaking on this, James, because I don't care what people think about me. You know what I'm saying?
That is why
I've been rich all my life. So But my man Shavar, I mean, he understands it. You know what I mean? He's definitely. There's no way you can compare or even. If somebody call you average today, I'm pretty sure, Shavar, you're gonna look right past that individual. Maybe not even see him.
You
You know what
know,
I mean? So how could you even understand
the
this?
thing about it is that I'm not speaking about this from
Oh,
my own perspective. What I'm speaking about this and why we having this discussion is because we look out into the world, we see how the messaging is being put out there about guys that are at a certain level. Now, while I might not be at
yeah,
that level, I still can observe it. I still can think about like what the messaging is that you communicating. And honestly, I have a problem with it, man, because I think
okay,
it's divisive thinking, man. I think we are
yeah,
better together, men and women partnering up, putting our collective heads together and having a plan and moving. I think we're stronger and better for that. The problem is that in our culture today, that's not what we doing, man. We finding every way to disparage one another. And on this particular topic, we just happen to be talking about women disparaging men for that particular thing. So, I can't relate to it because I'm not in that situation no more. Even when I was still better at it than most people. But now that I'm not, I still look back at myself 10 years ago and I'm like, damn, even at $60,000, I wasn't an average dude because my mind wasn't average. My
yeah.
mind was 10 steps ahead of all of my peers. And I'm telling you, they used to ridicule me. I used to walk around with a book all day, every day, reading about stocks, about real estate, about, history. Yo, they used to ask me like, yo, why you got that book? You in school? You doing it for a class? I'm like, nah, I'm investing in myself.
Yeah.
It don't cost me no money to invest in me. I can invest in me, and that's how I grew. But I just look at it like, man, I see what is happening on social media, which is why our podcast is called Black Culture Matters. Our culture is destructive. Our culture is divisive. Our culture is taking black men and black women who could pair up and push the culture forward, push the community forward, and it's pitting them against one another over things that are superficial and that don't make no sense when you start to deconstruct the argument.
You
Yeah.
know, one of somebody put in here, it says money management is what matters. And so, and
That's a
sweet,
smart
that's
lady. I
great.
know her. She's a
Yeah,
smart lady.
I really, I really appreciate you putting that in there because it leads me to say this. So we know that there are a group of individuals or women that classify men as average, right? Better yet, so to talk about it, I mean that's great. But James, what do you have in mind to help to help change this mindset for those that look at you or look at anybody
Right.
as average? What can we do? Because we talking about we saying I done heard it a million times. Our black culture, and when I hear just the word black, I want us all to be winners. You know what I mean? Some people they just don't have it in them. Judgments, the way that they look at people, the way they perceive people, and based off of the tangible things, that's just the world that we live in. So better yet, James, good content to give out there to people that's looking at this. What would you suggest to help fix this situation or fix this problem? What can we throw out there to help women of this group see things otherwise? What can we do to help them see things otherwise? You know what I mean? If you got two hands, you can be a hard worker, and you can you have a way to provide. There is going to be a point in your life where you trying to get over the top, where you're right at that fence, Shavar. You on the top of the fence, Shavar, and you trying to figure out how to get over. And really, all you need to do is that extra. You need that extra push to push you over that fence. You know what I mean? But why? Until you get over that fence, you would consider average. What do you suggest, James, to put out there that will make this that could change women thought process, change their mindset? Shavar said it earlier. What do you think we can put out there to change their mindset?
Well, okay. Good question. Good question. I do have a solid answer to that. And I'll jump back on what Shavar said earlier. He was walking around reading a book, and the people were ridiculing him for trying to educate himself. So the key is right in that little circle of experiences that he had when he was at work, walking around on naval bases, is that your circle. The first thing you need to evaluate is, well, I would say it's two parts. What do you really want in a partner? And then do you have a circle of people who are living a lifestyle that is going to help you? What I've found and experienced in my personal life is there are good women, quality women,
A lot.
who are a little bit painted and twisted in their outlook because of the circle of people they're surrounded. And so, unfortunately, those women essentially are undateable because their crew is going to deflect, cause issues, and disrupt their relationship. I actually have 2 exes that had circles of friends that did that, and they came back to me. One was 2 years later, one was many years later, and they had mentioned that those friends were all gone. And they made them devalue me, not respect me. One, when I first left for the military, her friend literally told her, "You can't trust military men. They live double lifestyles." But yet I will come in town and not even announce it on social media, order my own family just to be with her and her mother. I would literally take care of them, was providing for them. They took care of me very well. This is not a one-way street. You know, they used to treat me like a king when I would come home and stay with them. I would literally drive up or fly up from Virginia to Cleveland. Nobody knew about it. Kept our lifestyle, kept everything private. But her friends, when she talked about me, praised on me, spoke on me, she had a circle of bitter women, women in broken relationships, had broken failure relationships. I remember meeting some because I was in town. We picked up a friend from work, and she had the father of 2 of her children tattooed on her neck, but he cheated on her, and she was raising kids by herself. So, what a lot of people struggle with, and a lot of women struggle with, are these friends you grew up with, these friends you knew from since birth, your mama's best friend's daughter, and you have outgrown those women. And that is a biggest struggle for both men and women, is you have outgrown those people, and they are derailing your train. They are steering you off the path. And unfortunately, you're going to have some hard conversations, some hard discussions, or you can go cold turkey and cut them off. But that's where a lot of people fall short, is their circle of people, their circle of friends. 2, where's your real influence coming from, and why you think a man needs to make all this money and provide you all this stuff? Do you really care for a G-Wagon? Do you really need to be out of the country 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 times a year? Is that actually financially liable? Where's the data coming from the back there? Who are you attracted to? A good, hardworking IT guy who makes $65,000? Or are you attracted to a rapper? Why are you attracted to a rapper or celebrity? Where's your dating line? Where's your dating line of sight come from? Because I think a lot of people don't even know why they choose who they choose, or why they want what they want. That is a big key of is aligning yourself, having a deep conversation with yourself, possibly speaking to therapists. If you're a man or a woman who's had broken, toxic, dysfunctional relationships, you need help, because you are the common denominator in the situations, but yet you keep getting the same results, which is what? The definition of insanity. To do the exact same thing over and over and over again and expect different results. And you are driving yourself insane. You are hostile. You are volatile. Dating you is difficult. You have self-protecting vows, guards up, walls up. You're a princess in his fairy tale movies that lives in a castle guarded by a dragon, guarded by lava. You know, a secret spell needs to break you free. That's not real world. You don't fix yourself, as many of us have older aunties, mothers, sisters, cousins. They're dying by themselves. They've been single 10, 15 years. I have a girl I was dating, and her grandmother has been single for the last 15 years. Not had a solid relationship, been with a man for 15 years. So those are some things that I actually think are very important. Is there's a lot of deep self-reflection and denial that people don't want to go through, because you're going to have to be uncomfortable to grow, and you're going to have to put effort into getting what you want. You want a good quality man, you have to offer a good quality woman, and vice versa. You want a good quality woman in your corner. What are you doing as a man to build yourself up? There needs to be some realistic goals, realistic expectations, and stop living in a fantasy. Because the highest paid black folks is not owning Johnson & Johnson. They didn't create Walmart. They ain't create your grocery store chains of John Eagle. All the high earning black people, what? They're in entertainment. They're in the celebrity.
Not all. I mean, that's not.
Thank you, Shamar.
Yeah, not all, but you know, they
you.
are a subgroup of a subgroup. It's a very small amount. But Damaris,
And you
I'm gonna
gotta
give you
understand.
an answer to your question. You were saying, what can we do? So James and I, we started, these discussions because the one thing that I learned about the internet, the one thing I learned about social media, and the one thing I learned about YouTube is that it gives everybody a platform to express their thoughts, their opinions, their ideas. And
Yep.
the most important thing I think about that is that it allows for men to tell the truth from our perspective, and it allows women to tell the truth from their perspective. And I think that if we could start having serious conversations, difficult conversations, but we all come into it with good intentions, then by the time my kids are grown, things could possibly be different. So one of the things we trying to do is we trying to have uncomfortable conversations. Like you mentioned, you can't relate to being called the average man because you ain't average. I know for a fact that I've busted my behind to get to a point that I'm at now. I'm no longer considered the $40,000 average guy. But I understand there's a lot of guys out there that might fit into that category. There's a lot of women that's looking at those guys. And I think that instead of us each throwing bombs over the fence at each other, trying to score points by hurting the other person, I think we got to start figuring out how to start lowering that fence and working together more. So the only way we're going to do that is, by talking about it, by working through it, like James said, therapy, things that are productive, not things that are counterproductive.
Tangible things.
Yeah,
Tangible.
tangible for
That's a
sure.
big one.
Sure.
And this thing is awesome, guys, man. Y'all need to do. Maybe I'm just late, just catching on to this, but this is an awesome thing to even have this conversation. Because you're right, people they looking at this, even if it's one person, they might get it from Shavar perspective or from Dan's perspective, and I think it's amazing. But I gotta say, man, like the world that we live in today, it's like, have you ever got a job? And in the beginning, it was hard to do that job. You went to orientation. You had to learn the skills. You had to understand what the job wanted for you. And you still had to make sure you did a good job so you can get your paycheck every other Friday, right? So with today's dating environment, when you meeting somebody, James or Shavar, it's just like that.
Yeah.
But when you go to the job, are you going to take a job that's going to give you $3 an hour compared to a job that's going to give you $15 an hour? You're not going to look at the $3 an hour job, right?
That is key.
It's like that when you get out there and you go and look for a woman. Like there are going to be some women. The world is going to judge you. That's what that's what everything is based on. But you have to have a mindset to look past that. Get in your lane and you go and get that, not that $3 an hour job. You get that $15 an hour job. That's the woman you want. Because that woman is going to be worth you, and you're going to want to get past orientation. You're going to want to get to know that girl. You're going to want to get to build with her, and she's going to see, like my wife will tell you, I say this and I say it so openly. I was so goofy looking, I don't even know why she gave me a chance. You know what I mean? But my wife would tell anybody today, only reason why she stuck with me and she gave me that chance is because she seen my drive. She's seen it.
And you know something?
So if you,
I don't mean to cut you off, Damaris, but that's the way women should be selecting men.
yeah.
Unfortunately,
Okay.
that's not. That's my only 2 cents. You finish what you're talking about, but I felt like it was important to say that, for the women watching, younger women, who might see this, the way they going about selecting men is the reason why they having the experiences that they have, because they're not selecting men based on their character, their morals, their values, their work ethics. They're selecting men based on things that are superficial, that tend to not have no real substance to them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So basically what I'm saying is, James, is I like, a lot of people do need additional help. They need people to talk to. They need educational guidance and things of that nature. But I always was taught that I can't really fix nobody else. Like even when you seen the thing with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, and I don't know the ins and outs, but you can't make somebody else be happy. You just can't do it.
I just said that to
You
him
can't
the other
make
day.
somebody. You can't make somebody understand mindset. You can't make somebody understand, understand the value of, like, I might have said money, but when my boy Shavar, he put it like the money is minor. Well, if your mindset is strong, you know what I mean. You're able to work. The money is at a whole nother level.
Watch this. Watch
And
this.
people don't get that.
You know how many NBA players who made hundreds of millions of dollars in a 10-year span exit the league and be broke? So if it was simply a matter of like Antoine Walker made $110 million over the course of 10 years, if it was simply a matter of having money, he should be set for life. But his mindset took all of that money and still wasted it. So it's more so about how you think than how much you make. I think so. I mean, I've seen it in my personal life. So,
and I totally agree with it, man. Because I believe when I made, like, I lived great. When I gotta say this, I have a lot of kids. I have a needy wife. I'm needy myself. But when I made 60,000, guys, I'm telling you, James, you remember me in Virginia? That's, I was living a great lifestyle.
right.
You know, and it was maybe because I had the wife that I had. She wasn't Demir. You better go out here and get $100,000, or I'm leaving you, or I'm gonna be with the dude down the street. I didn't have that on my shoulders.
Right.
All I had to do was care about elevating. You know what I'm saying? But that's strictly because, man, like I was saying, getting back to what I was saying, when you go to a job and you want to be on that job, you go to orientation and you want to learn. You want to learn when you're in a relationship that you done went inside your target audience and she was in your lane and you want to learn her.
Yeah.
Once you get that orientation, you know what I mean? Y'all starting to build together. You want to give. He's a giver, not a receiver. I'm going to work. Go ahead, Shamar.
Real quick, James, hey, send Bobby Joe an invite so he could join the conversation, man. He in the comments, he providing some good feedback. So let's bring him on. Let's get another perspective.
Let's jump it in. All right.
Bobby is an all-star, man. This is about to turn into a whole Shavar and you and Bobby together.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Yo, it's important for it's, and the ladies watching too. If y'all want to join the conversation, send a request, man, because I feel like it's important that we get all sorts of perspective, man.
Fellas,
all right.
Nice to meet you.
What's going on? What's going on, man? What you want to contribute to the conversation?
I'm hopping out the shower, so forget a wet stuff. I was listening to the conversation in the shower, and what made me want to chime in specifically is you just bought Harley Davidson, right?
No, I'm just playing. Yes, yeah.
Why did you want the Harley Davidson?
10 years ago, when I got married to my wife, my brother came to the wedding on the same Harley. It was a white Harley. And when I sat on that Harley on the day that I got married, I said, this is really cool. The whole 10 years of me being married, this is my 10-year anniversary this year. I said, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. Never got it. I went into a dealership this year, me and my twin brother just joking around, and I just bought it.
Okay.
But it was strictly because my wife, a lot of times, my wife, she was supportive with it. Long story short, she knew this was something that I wanted to do for 10 years, and she was like, Damaris, go ahead and do it. And I did it.
And I tried. Here's the point. Regardless of what your upbringing was, what your culture was, you wanted that motorcycle, you was gonna get the motorcycle. You didn't have a license. You never drove a motorcycle before, but you had a genuine burning desire for that vehicle. So I can't change. And you got to forgive me, gentlemen. I don't know all your names, but nobody could change your mind.
Right.
Women are wait. We can't tell women what to value. We can't tell women what they should be attracted to. Right? Women let facts, logic.
Not at all. Not at all.
They're not going to let the facts and logic overcome their emotions.
Right.
So what I would say to the gentleman in the top left is you got to be the best version of yourself. That's the only thing you can do, right? Are you the best version of yourself? If you maxed out every level of life, fitness, finances, yeah, right, your emotional intelligence, right? If you haven't maxed out everything in your own personal life you can contribute, you can't change a woman's mind anyway, right? You got every defeat. So until you max out every level, unless somebody can look at say fitness is on point, finances is on point. I don't know where he lives, but he got a hell of a view, right? Unless they can see it in my life as maxed out, nothing else gonna make a difference. So my opinion, and not to hijack the conversation, is just to say, let women want what they want, let men want what they want, and let each individual sort of make and figure out, right? For the woman that want a G-Wagon, it's a man that's gonna buy her a G-Wagon. She should go get that G-Wagon. If
Target
I buy
audience.
the G-Wagon, I don't even need to have a conversation about it,
Right.
right? It's irrelevant. The same way if I want a chick that is from you name a country and she has a certain look, nobody's gonna influence me to want something different, right? I like what I like. So I think
Let me throw a question in there for you real quick.
jump in, absolutely.
Is it Bobby?
Bobby, yeah.
Yeah, let me throw a question in for you right there, right? And I'm not saying what my position is on this or not. I'm just asking the question, right?
I'm listening.
So you got 100 women.
Mm-hmm.
That 100 women all want the guy that can provide the G-Wagon lifestyle for them, right?
Right.
You have a group of 100 men, and only 10 of those men are capable financially of providing that lifestyle.
I'm with you.
Is there any value in telling the women that the percentage of the men that can provide the lifestyle that you want is this big, so they understand what it is that they're going after? Or is it your position that just step back and let them do what they do?
Yeah, and again, my basic philosophy is that women don't let fact and logic deter their emotions.
Hey, we done, fellas, because facts and logic have no bearing here. I'm just messing around, Bobby. Go ahead, man.
Right? Because let me give you an example. Let's say you with a young lady, right? Let's say you married. Facts and logic would say, don't cheat on my husband.
Right.
Facts and logic would say, stay faithful to my husband, right? But women don't let facts and logic through them. So if emotionally they want to do something, they'll figure out a way to justify it. So when you tell a woman it's only 10% of guys that can get the lifestyle that you want, you're trying to give them facts and logic. That's how men think.
Yeah.
Men got to be men, women got to be women. You could tell me out of these 100 women, they can only get 10 men. I can understand that, but women don't operate that same way.
They like, I'm going to get it no matter what. It's going to be me that's going to get it. I feel you. And like I said, I'm not necessarily saying what my position is. I just wanted to hear you say that out loud, you know?
And again, regardless of Bobby, if you go out and look in your own lived life and your own lived experience, we've been having this same conversation about hip hop and Africans. We've been having that conversation since before I was born, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So facts and logic dictate that women have genuine burning desire for what they want. As a man, you got to out all levels of your life and hope that you one of those 10 men. But if you're not one of those 10, you're not going to be able to convince the women, don't go after those men.
Right. And I don't think that, what would you say is the objective of this discussion, James? If you talking about, you know, average men, what would you say is the objective? What's the messaging that you want to ultimately convey?
Well, I would say my counter to Bobby's discussion. My counter to discussion is very simple, but the issue with what you're saying is they don't care about facts and logic is this is severely deteriorated the Black community. When you're not being respected for your hard work and due diligence, when you're being required that a G-Wagon is a standard, but you have a person just, you know, live whatever lifestyle, but they need a man a G-Wagon, what it boils down to is they'd rather stay single than settle. That's the new thing. I'd rather be single than settle. But now we have it where, you know, they don't care if they break up a happy household. They don't care about divorce. And our numbers are continuously dwindling. At one point in time, we were at a higher percentage married than white Americans at one point in time. And there's been a severe attack on the Black community that has made it to a real world divide and conquer, Black men versus Black women. This is now a match of who can submit to who through power and aggression and just straight anarchy and chaos. And now we can say, let those women be those women. But if 90% of, if let's just throw a number out there, if 75% of Black women say if I can't get a G-Wagon, I'm a single and die, and I'm gonna die, that's a problem. But that's a major problem, because what about the children that are already here? What about the children that they create? And you know, that's where you have to come to the point of, we have our individual experiences, we have our individual, possibly people who are married, loving, but it's supposed to be about community and helping others. I can't say I got a wife and 3 kids, we gonna move in the middle of nowhere and never be heard of, because those children are gonna go and date somebody probably who looks like them, who looks like mom and dad. And if you're not willing to help the community, help the other people, some. You don't have to help all. We know Blacks from an original state are tribal people. We have a tribe right here, these 4 men discussing, to share information and keep this going. But if I'm not doing anything outside of what I've made if I'm still married, what I've made for my daughter, she's gonna go try to find me. But if I don't go out there and try to help those other men who look like me, she's screwed. She's 100% screwed. And that's what's going on, is that our community is on this unrealistic fantasy expectation of what we require of each other. And we're at the bottom and we're suffering. And everybody talk about the Asians getting out that law passed. That's because they think about the community and the group over self. We are, as the term I coined, hyper individuality complex is plaguing the Black community worse than all other communities. And our numbers show it. We are number 1 or close to number 1 in the worst categories that you want to be in. Income levels, abortion levels, marriage rates. We're too high for being number 1 for trash.
And I'm gonna say this, James, with all due respect. It just sounds like you're trying to save the world. It sounds
I'm
like
not trying to save the world, but I'm going to die and leave children behind.
Yeah.
What about them?
And so what I'm saying is, right, I'm just talking about this one specific point, right? I think it's a great point in general if we're trying to save the world. But all I'm saying is, in terms of women, you cannot manufacture genuine burning desire.
That's true. That's 100%.
Word it. I don't care what statistic you throw out. You cannot manufacture genuine burning desire. That's all I'm saying.
But let me say this. If throughout history, genuine burning desire was a prerequisite for success, there would be no successful society.
Success? Now we're talking about a different point. Now we're talking about success.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, don't lose me here, is you talking about genuine burning desire is the driving force behind how selections are being made. Is that correct or not?
I cut the conversation halfway through the show. So when he was referring to average men and why there are average men.
Of course. 50%.
Average. I may not be average, but there are people up here, there are people down, people in the middle. The people that James is referring to are men that women consider in the middle.
Right.
That's the reality. To try to dismiss that reality and say, well, there aren't average men. There are average men. Absolutely. That's that. So I think the conversation that we having, you know, and again, I only jumped in.
Okay, so let me give you let me catch you up a little bit, right? So the question that we started out with is not whether or not they're average men or not average men. The statement that James started out the conversation with was that on social media, there was statements going around like Black men want to be praised for doing the bare minimum, for being average. So that's what we started with. That's what we started with.
And so y'all got to forgive me. I'm going to probably bow out.
Right.
Because for me, my philosophy is I don't pay attention to people what people say. I pay attention to what people do. So people say a lot, right?
Yeah. But you got to humor us for a minute. I mean, we trying to have the conversation and really just kind of explore these ideas. Trust me, none of this is representative of the people that you talking to, right?
Okay.
We don't necessarily
I know
believe
you,
this,
Bobby.
but we trying to really delve into what the broad conversation that's being had outside of our circles are and what the issues are with those.
And I think honestly, I can't that because I think people are entitled to have whatever discussion they have based on their preferences, right? And then I wouldn't spend my time trying to change a person's mind. A person believe, you know, if you make six figures and a woman's saying you average, then that means average based on what she deal with.
That's a fact.
Right? She's saying based on the men.
She average based off her target audience. You're average.
Yeah, I can't argue. So I think it's the entire discussion is something that I wouldn't be able to contribute to because if people are making social media posts about what they consider average men to be, then that's based on what they experience. Right? If I only date and
don't miss the underlying message. The underlying message that we just getting at is the disparaging that's going on as a result of if you in one place and somebody else is in another, that's fine. If that doesn't fit your idea of what you're looking for, that's fine. But the disparaging that goes on between the two, that's not productive. That's counterproductive. So
right,
you can't.
Crips and Bloods been going at it for centuries. We can't change that, right? That's just a byproduct. So there are a lot of things that as a result of something else.
Right. We just having a conversation, or it makes for good conversation. That's all.
Yeah, but I'm saying, right? Women want what they want, men want what they want. If that means fit against each other, that's not I don't have no dog in that fight. You know what I mean?
There you go.
And I'm gonna just go to the comment section. I don't know who's referring to what when he's talking about everything.
Yeah, if we got a question for you, Bobby. He's talking about what type of women are you referring to? I think that was his question. I can't see all the comments.
In terms of what?
It says because all women don't require a man's certain stature. So basically, who are you talking about? What group of women are you talking about? Because every group of women don't require a man of certain stature. So they okay with a medium or an average guy.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about, Jan? I mean, Bobby.
It's not the women I would deal with. So I'm only speaking on my lived life experience. My is okay with an average guy, right? So I'm just obviously talking women that I would entertain. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are women who don't value finances and don't value a lot of stuff, but I mean, we all know money we're moved. So if you
hopefully that answers his question then.
Yeah, I don't.
So here's the point I want to bring up.
The real from off the topic a little bit, guys, a little bit.
All right, we gotta hold on real quick. Hold on. We gotta make sure we're talking one at a time. I've watched social media, Instagram lives. If two of you start talking, it blanks you both out. So you kind of over talk each other and it completely cancels out your words. So make sure we're talking one at a time. I want to get to another point here, okay? I was listening to you guys discuss some things. And this is, I've actually had quite a few debates because I've dated women who make more than me, six-figure earners, women who are able to travel around. What I come into contact with is that people have created these bubbles of, okay, most of my friends are clearing this, doing this. This is what I surround yourself with. That's what you're supposed to do. That is how you're supposed to with tribal people. You move with people who are progressing and going towards the things that you have in life. Hobbies, interests, passions, careers, whatever. Problem is, no matter what you do, your children are going to run into people outside of your bubble. And that is something that kind of comes back to this point, is that you're not going to be able to stop them. And you could also pass away one day. You will pass away one day for sure, but it is possible you could pass away prematurely before your child has married and been committed to a man or a woman for 5 or 10 years, and you can die peacefully. So my thing is, we have our bubbles to protect ourselves, our families, and our children. But your children are going to go to college. They may join the military. They can start a culinary career. They can do a plethora of things where they're going to go and meet people outside your circle. You can even set your children up with, let's say, us four built our lives up and we set our children up with each other. Our children can hate each other's kids. And none of our kids want to date each kids, but we all making all this money, build a platform, whatever, and our kids say, I don't like none of your friends' kids. And that's over. So now they're out in the world. So my thing is, we can talk about our bubbles all day, but I think the accountability comes into, and that's the point of this, creating the Golden Grades Network on YouTube and starting these discussions, is because outside of our circle of great friends and family, we got real problems. You can't drive around the neighborhoods most of us grew up in with our, not even having a Mercedes, having a premium, a nice fully loaded Ford Explorer. You can't walk out to the shops. So we just seen with several celebrity men who changed their lifestyle in the rap culture, they go to their own neighborhoods, they get smoked by somebody they made a talk to some years ago and say, hey, brother, elevate, get on this, do that, and the third, and come back to me. Here's my email and my contact information. And he see you 5 or 10 years later doing what you said you was going to do, and he take your life away. So we can live in our bubbles. We can move in the suburbs. We can live in a gated community with cameras and a real cop as a security guard, but that doesn't protect the world, us from the world outside, and that also doesn't protect our children and our nieces and nephews when we pass away. So that's the big issue, is what are we going to do about that? Because our numbers are bad, as I said. We can say the burning desire, but who's tainted our minds, who's reprogrammed us to think that you need a G-Wagon, who's tainted our minds? And that's why therapy and a lot of these things they're talking about, and a lot of pushback against the culture is important, because the culture affects you. Just like we can go overseas and look at different cultures in the Middle East. We go to different countries in Africa, because I've been working with a lot of people now. We can go to South America, and their culture dictates the actions and morals and common denominators and lifestyles and what they choose to do. And our culture is destroying us. That is the fact. You can't go to many of our communities and live. So what do we do? I want one person at a time. What do we do about the bubble outside of our protected tribes? Because our children may jump into that, and that's going to be a big, real culture shock, and it could cost them everything.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, fellas, it's been a good conversation. I'm gonna probably tap out. Like I mentioned, I mean, I appreciate the work. I don't think there's an answer for that. I think we live in the United States of America, right? The culture is the culture. We on IG Live because of the culture, right? We watching the Super Bowl today because of the culture. That's not changing, right? So I think culture. It's the culture is the culture. I can't tell people to not to take issue with the culture, right? That we all come from, that we've all benefited from, right?
So let me ask you this: you familiar with drill rap?
Of course.
All right, so I'm not too familiar with it, so right, I just got exposed to it, and in my professional life, I work with numbers all the time. I work with data. That's what I do, right? Collect data, analyze it, interpret it. I'm not familiar with drill rap, but I kept being exposed to data and more data that was showing that these guys who participate in that music genre are being killed at 18, 19, 21. And the relationship between the music and the actions is so closely related. You saying to me that, well, I'm asking you, let me ask you this. That's a part of our culture now, in the same way gangster music was a part of my upbringing in the 90s. Do you think it's worth saying something about that aspect of the culture that we know is so deleterious to us? Or do you think it's something that you observe, you witness, but you keep moving in your lane?
Yeah, I can say, but it'll be hypocritical. I just think, like I said, the culture is the culture.
What would be hypocritical about
it? Anything that I say, because I come from the culture.
Okay.
So Bobby, the reason why you feel that way, so Bobby, and I gotta ask, do you have any? So I mean, tell the. Do you have any kids?
Let's stick away from the ad hominems, right?
No. The reason why I say that, Bobby,
But stick with me. My situation individually don't matter. My position changed. I came from the culture. We're part of the culture by being on IG, right? There's specific aspects of the culture we may not like, but we can't pick and choose what we take from the culture.
Why not?
That's just my personal opinion, right? We can't.
Why not?
What we take from the culture, because we got to take it as a whole.
Why not?
Because that's just not the world we live in.
I mean, part of the culture is, you know, would you say that there's a part of the culture is drug use?
Let me ask you a question, right?
But hold on, answer that first. Would you say a part of the culture is drug use?
Absolutely.
All right. So I think as an individual, I pick and choose whether or not I want to participate in that aspect of the culture. That doesn't change the fact that I listen to the music, but I don't participate in that specifically. So
right. But what I'm saying is this. That's what you particularly. What I'm saying is this. The culture is the culture. We all pick and choose what we want to take from it individually. So if you want to block out the drug use of the hip hop culture and you focus on something else, that's you as an individual. I'm just saying you can't change what the next person take from the culture, right? Each individual person got to make the decision of what they want to gravitate to and what they resonate with. So I'm just saying, for me specifically, I don't have a dog in the fight. That's just me personally. I don't have a dog in that fight.
yeah,
That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense, because if we go back to our grandparents and parents' lifestyle, this wasn't the culture. This has been a drastic change.
It was much worse.
Huh?
It was much worse.
It was no. Look. I'm saying the choices, the choices and the decision making and the outlook is not the same that it was 50 years ago today. They're not identical, and that's what it boils down to.
The choices is much worse.
What do you mean? You saying black men and black women made worse dating choices back in when we had a higher marriage rate than white people? We were making worse choices?
So are we only focusing on marriage rate? Because I know that culture had kids on every corner. You live with this set of individuals. This may have been your parents and your grandparents, but granddaddy had 3 other kids. That's not the same today.
That is something that similar does happen, but those men did take care of some things, and things were a little bit different. There are similarities.
Okay.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. There are similarities, but there's been drastic changes through outside influence
Let me ask you this.
that has made things worse.
You think more drugs were being sold in the 80s or more drugs are being sold in 2020?
That I'll have to look at some data, but I'll probably say when it first came in, probably not. When it first came in, no. I would say it had to spread out.
I'm unclear. Was it more drugs being sold in the 80s or in 2022?
Hold on real quick. Accept. Go live with that person.
So just to be clear, was it more drugs being sold in the 80s or in 2022?
Yeah. That was hard. I'd probably say that's a hard one. If I was to take a guess, I'd say modern times. I would definitely say modern times.
Yeah, fellas, I'm out. If you think more drugs are being sold in 2022, name one.
I would guess. I mean, we have a lot of rehabilitation clinics and issues going on.
Okay.
Currently, the drug issue has gotten so bad that now the government is stepping in. We all know about the issue with opioid addiction. But yes, drug use and abuse has gotten much worse.
Can you name one modern day drug dealer?
Now, they're in the ground, the ones I know.
How many can you name from the 80s?
Only one I can really name is Rick Ross. Really, that's about it. And maybe some of the guys from out of the country. We know the people who helping the government funnel it in. Maybe 3 or 4.
Can you give me one from 2022?
No, because I stepped outside that lifestyle.
So I rest my case.
And I grew up in it. Yeah, I knew that.
I rest my case. It was way more drugs being sold in the 80s than it is in 2022.
No, sir. I've moved away from the inner city poverty when my house was built in 1905 and there were street thugs and I had to walk a different route to school every day. Of course, I don't know those people no more because they're not in my lifestyle anymore, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. I'm not going to go walk the streets of the inner cities and try to find people. Hey, do you sell drugs?
I chose my words carefully. I didn't say non-existent. I said, was it more prevalent then or more prevalent now?
You go to inner cities, you can buy drugs. You can buy drugs really fast in inner cities.
More
Anywhere you can go.
prevalent now.
I would say it's much worse. Honestly, the addiction is much worse. It was getting started. They had some big issues, but it's still bad, if not worse. Today we have more people, more issues, more problems.
And
Yeah.
and as my final point, as I exit, last comment, Alpo. I just challenged that young man that put that in the comments to see what era he was in. He might have
I
died.
was born in 1989.
He might have died in 2020.
I was born in 1989
So,
for context.
let me say something real quick, because I think that the conversation is being veered off into a direction that we're not trying to go down.
All right.
I'm not disagreeing with you. We know all of the drug kingpins from the 80s. We know the Alpos, the Rich Porters, this guy, that guy, the Big Meech. We know that. That's a part of our culture. The discussion that we're having is not about the parts of our culture that we know all so well that's not producing positive outcomes. The objective of our culture, of our conversation, is to talk about the things that we could be doing better, that we could be doing differently, so that if you, the individual, not you personally, because I don't know you, but let's say somebody is watching me right now that didn't grow up with a father, but I've gone through my own period of growth and development, and I'm now doing certain things, and I can give him a piece of advice that might help him reassess what he's seeing around him in his neighborhood, and might help him better select which parts of the culture he wants to adopt or not. That's the goal of this conversation. I think you're right 100%. Things have not gotten better. The culture is the culture. But the problem is that we don't talk about the parts of the culture that's not productive. We just accept it as being what it is. And there's people who are not a part of our culture that look like every one of us on this screen, that come to this country, that end up in much better financial shape than we do, familial shape than we do, because they have a different culture. I'm trying to push people to learn about the aspects of other cultures that could benefit them in their personal life. Whether they decide to change their life or not, I think you're right. We can't change anybody. My goal is not to change anybody. My goal is to give you information through these conversations and hope that you change yourself. So I don't want us to go down this path where we bumping heads over something as trivial as whether or not drugs are being sold more then or now. I think they're killing us. They've been killing us all along. The thing about it is, can we do something as an individual? Bobby, as you successful in your own right, can you tell somebody watching you right now something that might help them go in the right direction? That's my goal. I think that's James's goal. I think that's the objective of our conversations.
The
Whether
reason
they
why
take it or not is up to them. But I'm offering information because that's what's powerful.
and I'm gonna let Damaris jump in. Let me say this last part. The reason why I say so is because I think influence is the most powerful thing on, right?
There you go.
So how much does Bobby influence as somebody that just works in software versus athlete or entertainer? Who has more influence, me or them?
Right now, the athlete does. But if Bobby starts to have more conversations where Bobby is talking to people that would never be in Bobby's circumference, maybe one day Bobby could.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I think that guys in the professional realm, we're not the guys that are public-facing figures that are talking to these guys all the time.
And I guess the only point that I'm making is, you said you're a numbers guy, right?
That's a fact.
So let's deal in probability, right? Is it likely, more probable that Bobby, who just makes a comfortable living selling software, is going to have more influence than the biggest athlete or entertainer?
No.
So let me qualify that, right?
Let's qualify.
If there were an equal number of Bobbies,
but there isn't an equal number. Let's not deal in hypotheticals. There isn't an equal number. So let's deal in
one second, bro. Don't cut. Let me just.
All right. To have a conversation, got to be based in reality. It can't be
But
a thing.
how is you cutting me off making a productive conversation?
Clear. Let's stay in reality.
What I'm saying to you is there's a lot of working professionals where I am that are black men.
Likewise.
They don't take the time to talk in a public forum like this. They busy out there conquering the world.
Likewise.
So all I'm saying to you is, if it became part of a culture for those guys to be more proactive in the same way you talking right now, who knows what someone will take from the conversation?
Who knows?
Hey, can
Go
I
ahead,
interject?
Damaris. Go ahead.
I'm actually Derek. I'm Damaris' twin brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's up, Derek?
I'm gonna say this, and I know James. You know, what's up, my good friend?
Not man.
I'm gonna say this, and Bobby, what's up, my good guy?
What's
I'm gonna
going on?
say this, James. I know you understand me when I say boots on the ground, right? So when I say boots on the ground, you know, of course we don't got the platform that you know,
The
Odell
NBA
Beckham,
player, the
yeah,
athlete,
that
the
Odell
rapper.
has, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But who cares? Who cares? I think it's more important that you touch one life. If you could touch one person every day, or at least one person every week, and really get something to spark inside that guy based off your conversation with that guy or girl, or just basically, you know, just it's really that simple. You know, no, I mean, just because somebody have a bigger platform does not mean they're gonna do more work. You know, if I can sit there and touch one guy or girl, right, and touch them in a way where, you know, they become the next big thing off a conversation that they had with little old Derek, you know, that's a step forward, and that's the only way we should think. There's no way we can conquer the world as a incrementally or as a whole quickly. You know, it's one step at a time, and but really all it's about is having that boot on the ground, getting in the trenches and having those conversations. One thing about me, I just feel like, you know, I'm not Chad Johnson, I'm not Odell Beckham, I'm not, you know, Lil Baby, but I have changed so many lives, one conversation at a time.
Ask you a question. Ask you a question.
One conversation at a time. That's the only way we can do it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? What you sitting in right now? What are you sitting in right now?
Yeah, you did.
What are you sitting?
I'm sorry. I can't, you going in and out. One person at a time.
What are you sitting in right now?
Talking about his car. He's asking what kind of car are you in.
Yeah, I'm in a Jeep Gladiator.
And what influenced you by that Jeep?
You know what? I joined this group of people called Mopar Syndicates, and they had Jeeps, and it was just but before I got into that group, I had met one of the members, one member who had a Jeep, and that just sparked something in me. That I was like, oh, I love that Jeep. I'm about to get into it. Because I mean, that one conversation, I liked it with that person, what that Jeep life looked like.
And what kind of fleece you got on right now?
A polo, just a regular Ralph Lauren fleece.
What influenced you to get to wear that polo fleece?
Realistically, it was just I just like nicer. Yeah.
Taking the culture.
Yeah.
The culture. You got your hat backwards because of the culture. You in the Jeep because of the culture.
I'm from that.
You live the way you live because of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
We all corporate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's in the streets. Nobody's a rapper or entertainer, but if you look at well, I don't know you two guys on the left, so I can't comment. But if you look at our lives, a lot of what we do and how we live is based on the culture.
Don't agree. Don't agree at all.
Some people.
Some.
So I'm gonna give you a quote from Dr. Thomas Sowell. He said that, you know, the communities of people throughout the world, throughout time, who have been able to move from the lower rungs of society to the highest levels, i.e. the Jewish community, the way they did so was availing themselves of the aspects of the culture of the successful groups in that society. Culture can change over time. It depends on what the focus is. If we focus on the things that don't move us forward, that keep us in the position that we in, then in 30 years, when we all die, 50 years, when we all dead, they'll be in the exact same place that we are today, much like we are in a lot of ways and some not so similar ways in similar places today. So That's my contribution to that right there.
And can I say something? You know, I think all of us guys on this podcast are very influential, very successful, great guys. I was watching our conversation. I just had to intervene. But one thing I can say is that the only way we can make a change. We really can. As a culture, we can make a change. It's communication, it's conversation, it's being out there, giving the information that you have to help change somebody's life. Like you said, my good guy, you know, sharing. I mean, I hate the fact that the world don't like to share. You know, why would you hold on to $1 million, millions of some information that's worth millions that can change lives and help others grow? Why would you hold on to that, be a gatekeeper? All you have to do is share it. Just share as much as you can. You know, Nipsey said something. Life isn't about what you can get from it. It's about how much you pour into it while you're here. And just, I think you should let go. You pour out your soul, your heart, as much as you can to our people, so we can help build our people. You know, one person at a time. And again, it's about sharing.
Let me just say one thing, Derek. A lot of successful people that I interact with, they want to share information. If you ask and you demonstrate that you can add value, they don't have a problem giving information. What I think we have to make more common is we take each guy in every box in this screen and take their experience, their background, their knowledge, and we have to make it more a part of our culture for us to share it with each other in ways that could be beneficial, right? If we hold on to the information, it's exactly what you're saying. Nothing happens. But if we make it a part of our culture where James knows me personally, he can tell you and attest to how much I push him to advance, how much I push him to invest, how much I push him to acquire assets, because he's in my direct circle. But I'm always giving him information. And just recently, we ain't gonna put it out there, but he celebrated a significant success as a result of us just working together as Black men and sharing information. So I just want to make what you saying, Derek, a part of our everyday life. Not just me, not just James or Bobby or you, but I want people watching us to feel like that same thing is okay. Even if your information is this big and it might only lead somebody to make a little bit, that's a little bit more than what they had. And if you keep building it, the most powerful force in the world is compound interest. You keep building on what you're doing, ain't no limits, man. Ain't no limits.
And I have to say something. I was watching a pastor on YouTube, and what he said is, nobody reads your resume at your funeral. And it's going to be a little touchy for me, but some friends I grew up with, this is their father, okay? I don't know if you can see this clear enough. He passed away, okay? Carl Jacobs. He's Bear, Pierre, Mike, three brothers I grew up with. Their house was adjacent from ours. My house had three brothers, and we have two cousins that grew up as well, so 8 of us total. The thing about his funeral that was very powerful to me, nobody talked about his resume. They talked about all the giving he gave to the people in the community and in his circle. And I think that's what matters, and that's what a lot of people lose sight of. And I've heard people struggling talk about this. People in our community get success, they run for the hills, and you never hear or see from them again. And that man's funeral, I cried most of the funeral. I don't think I stopped. Luckily, he's wearing masks, so the mask just absorbed all my tears, right? But I cried most of his funeral because you hear so many people just coming up, speaking on, he helped me with this, he showed me this, he taught me that. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to achieve this. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to achieve that. He served his wife, served his family, took care of his boys, taught them. They only talked about his actions that poured into others. He had a fucking picture of life that he poured and shared with other people. And that's what matters. At the end of the day is you can achieve all this great success, all this great reach, but as we've seen, some of the highest earners people have taken their own lives. The thing is about this life is you build it and you grow, but you got to give back. You got to help other people. You got to inspire other people. And that funeral really hit me because they were really talking about this man valued life, valued community, and he was a selfless man. And a lot of us have become, even in a successful market, selfish, and that's one thing Shavar talking about. If it wasn't for Shavar, I would not have achieved this new job I just got. 100%, he helped and guided me to get in positions, do some training, understand interview processes, understand negotiations, and I got what I far above what I was expecting. And that is because this man poured into me, supported me, and guided me even when I wasn't at my best. And I've had many failures with our talk. So that is a point that I just wanted to bring up, inspiring other people.
Go ahead, Derek.
I want to link up with you. Thanks, James. Thanks, James, for giving him his flowers now. I really appreciate that, man. And that's another problem with people, our culture. We don't like to give credit to the ones that really that put out that do the work to change lives. You know what I'm saying? That's a really good thing that you was able to say that about this guy. That was really amazing. It was really good to hear that. Again, I just think it's so much better. You feel better in your purpose when you able to give back. You know what I'm saying? And it's like somebody told me, it was like I was watching this podcast with Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey was like this. He was like this. His kids was like, Dad, how much money are you leaving us when you die? And Steve Harvey was like, I'm not gonna really leave y'all much. You know what I'm saying? I think life isn't about what I'm giving you in the tangible. It's about what I'm installing in you to help you become even better than me, right? So as a culture, what we need to do is, even as far as like what we think, because we think that we got to get boom, 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 $1 million. You know what I'm saying? We got to retire her. We gotta give them this car, get her this house. But I think it's so much better when you can just give intellectual property that could absolutely change people's lives. That's something I got an Instagram. But James, I hope you follow me. But what I tapped into the tech industry, and what it was is I got all this information, and I was like, man, it was so rich. When I got there, I'm gonna just say this: they didn't make this industry recognizable to minorities. I'm gonna just say it as it is. It was like everybody was there was either Korean, white, or I'm not gonna make it a race thing, but I'm just saying they held it back from us. So I prided myself on like making this information available to minorities and specifically minorities. I hope anybody, but specifically minorities. They kept us out of this billion-dollar industry that we actually thrive in. It's called UX design. And funny thing is, out of all the people I got into this industry, everybody, they come back daily. They check on me daily, and they say, Derek, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hear it so many times, but it's because, again, when I got this information, my goal was to pass it out and to make it available, readily available. Why keep it? You know what I'm saying? You ain't going to take nothing from me. We're, as a culture, we're selfish. We're ignorant. We feel like we got to be better. You know what I'm saying? We feel like we got to step on who, boom, boom, boom. It's a competition, but it's not. It's enough for everybody. Let's share. The word we should pass out is share, give, care, love. Every time I post something on Instagram, it's hashtag love, care, share. And that's what we should be doing. That's the only way we're going to change this culture. And we can do it.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Ideas are powerful things, man. I mean, that's the objective of these discussions. We have our back and forths, our disagreements, but the objective here is to share ideas, to do exactly what you're talking about, paying it forward, teaching those among us that, might need it, teaching them something, man. So,
I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't know what he showed you, James, but I'm going to link with you, brother, and whatever you showed James, because James
I got that work. I got
James
that
is
work.
My family, and we're gonna share together. Me and you, I'm gonna share my knowledge.
I got that work, man. Come get with me.
Okay, we're gonna do something after this. And just between us four, I'm gonna show you how that works. You know what I'm saying? I got knowledge. I'm gonna give you. Hopefully, it help you change your life. I know you got knowledge to help me, because if you can help James, my good brother, my family, you can help me. So I'm with it.
That's
you know
a
what
fact.
I'm saying?
I got you.
Bobby, got any points? I think we're going to get ready to get up out of here before this goes on. We've definitely been going on for some time, but this is a great discussion, great points. as always, we never truly see eye to eye, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we need to have uncomfortable talks. We need to have uncomfortable things because we got some breaking points. Rob, you made some good points as well, and I've been taking notes and writing things down as well on here. So just to keep pushing forward with discussions and topics. But I would like to let everybody go around. We'll start with you, Bobby. Go around with some closing remarks. As I said, the topic was Black men are barely average. We made some. Let me go over a few talking points here. We talked about Black men wanting the bare minimum and expecting high praise for it. We talked about Black men, we did a little bit about Black men paying all the bills, but how that affects the lifestyle. We talked about the push for the luxury lifestyle, where that comes from. We talked about the data not matching, men making $65K a year, own house, own car, everything paid off and invested for the future. Shavar gave a great example of his life of that. Another point we talked about was just some data, some statistics, and then we went over a couple more numbers, some talking points here. So, Bobby, you got any closing remarks here for this discussion here you'd like to say, and things for the future?
Like I said, I joined the conversation while I was in the shower, so I probably missed a good portion of what you guys were discussing, and I may have derailed the conversation. My only point is in regards to women. You got to max out in every area in your life. So
wrote that down.
EQ, until you max out in all of those individual levels, you shouldn't even be entertaining women, right? I can't, go back and forth about what they want, like they like. Are you maxed out in all areas of your life? So that's where I'm at. I'm not trying to change women. I don't want to debate women. I'm not what you think. If they want G-Wagons, let them get G-Wagons. But again, make sure you max out all areas of your life.
Yeah.
That's my only point.
I like that. That is a very good point. Something I worked on this year. See, I'm a little husky. I used to not be this way as the military. Plenty of people's in there. Y'all saw me, but there's some side effects I got you, but we don't talk about that later. Shavar, go ahead. Some final points here.
I'm gonna just say this, man. I'm just a kid from the hood, man. Grew up in New York my whole life. None of my family was doing a whole lot of things that you would consider positive or successful. And James, you know who I'm talking about, but there was a dude that at the time was younger than me. He said words to me and he shared things with me that people older than me, older than him, had never shared with me. And just those couple of conversations that we had changed my life for the better. I never looked back. So every time I have the opportunity, I salute him, I give him his flowers, because I understood the power of the information that he gave me. I understand it now for sure. My goal with Black Culture Matters, with Twisted Toxic Reality, with our ongoing discussions on YouTube, is to do for somebody else what that God did for me, man. And I hope that something that I share sparks some ideas, some information that I gives another kid from the hood coming up behind me the opportunity to never look back. That's all I got.
I love that, man.
And obviously, Derek, that is a great point. It is difficult growing up in an environment where you don't see successful marriages, you don't see healthy friendships. And as I quoted on our last live, with a good song from T.I., he said, they say you're living in a war zone, but you don't notice until you don't notice when you're living in it. And that was kind of growing up in the city of Cleveland, Shavar, New York, where you just don't see anything sensible. And I can say the Navy, at the time I didn't see it, but it definitely opened up my horizon. Inner city of Cleveland, Ohio, East 116th and Kinsman is not the whole world. So, good point. And Derek, we'll let you finish off here.
Hey, James, man, we family, I know that place. I come from it. You know what I'm saying? 130th and Kinsman. I wasn't supposed to be where I am. I know I'm not. I know I wasn't. And the thing is this, I gotta be honest, man. Let me see. I think a lot of I want to share something like what Shavar said. It wasn't. I gotta say, I had to do a lot of footwork to get where I am. I had to put in a lot of work, you know what I'm saying? I had to do a lot of research. I had to like, you know, it took blood, sweat, and tears to get here, right? And it was funny when I made my breakthrough, when I got to a certain level of life, you know, people started wanting to be a part of what I was doing. And so I had, and that was like, I'm 37 now. And so I think that started when I was like 30. And so what happened is when I got there, you know, that's when I started getting the help and people, the big dogs, some really good mentors like Derek, no, we're going to help you do this. We're going to help you do that. And when I got there, you know, and I started getting this influence from these other people, they really helped me to elevate my mindset. Because again, by me not having the type of, you know, foundation to like become who I am, you know, it took some help. And so me just allowing those mentors to, you know, to help me be like, because I was a person like, I work hard as shit. I'm gonna grind and I'm gonna get there. But I wasn't really getting there like I really wanted to until I actually let people help me. And so when I let those people help me, it helped me change my mindset to the point where all I do on a day-to-day basis is give out. I just give. I give. My wife kills me. She kills me. She said, Derek, stop. You give away too much. You give away too much. I'm going to die giving away everything I got until I go. I don't care whether it's a materialistic thing. I don't care if it's a tangible. I don't care if it's intellectual. I'm giving it away. I just got to. And that's how I'm changing my culture. I am changing my culture one conversation at a time. Now, it ain't doing the same numbers as Odell Beckham or Ocho or whoever. I don't follow sports. But I ain't doing numbers like them. But if I could change one person, I sleep good at night. I sleep good at night. And I sleep very good.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Y'all some good feedback. So the tap
plug the YouTube page real quick.
Can you put on your screen? I was gonna plug it.
Yeah, I did.
So keep up with me and Shavar. This is he has Black Cultures Matters Pod on Instagram. I have Twisted Toxic Reality on Instagram. Our combined page on YouTube. So we collaborated, made a combined page. If you look us up on YouTube, it's Golden Grays Network. The Gray is spelled with an A. You simply search that in the bar and it'll go to our page. We have 2 videos posted right now. This will strictly be on Instagram. Eventually we'll get some information up, get our tech up so we can figure out how to get this video and put this on different platforms as well. But we're going to continue to do that and continue to grow. My email is twistedtoxicreality@gmail.com. Obviously, Derek, Bobby, email me so we can get you in on future videos, groups. We have a group as well. We're trying to get some discussions going, some positive Black male growth, positive Black community growth, and you know, keep having these debates, keep having these discussions. But at the end, like that's why I want everybody's point is, we want real world solutions. There's a lot of talk out here. There's a lot of gossip. There's a lot of floating conversations, but we eventually want to grow this up to where we're doing active, tangible things that matter. We got to talk about it, but then we got to, as you said, put the boots on the ground and make some things happen. So that is the future that is to come as we grow and expand. So, yeah, keep up with us and stay tuned for the future is all I can say.
Hey, Shavar and James.
I was about
take down my phone number.
I was about to say the same thing. Let's
write it down.
Info.
I don't care if we're on this podcast. I want anybody to call me who want information. My phone number is 216 216-456-7724. I want to hear from you guys, man. Let's expand on this, man. Please.
Yep. I'll get you text and then we'll get you on the email chain and we'll get some things rolling because our next episode will be coming Tuesday. We'll be shooting for 9 p.m. Tuesday.
7 p.m. on Tuesday night.
I'm there.
All right.
Hey, Shavar, make sure you got my number, man, please.
Yo, James wrote it down. Me and him gonna jump on a call after this. I'll make sure I grab it, and then you, your brother, we definitely could chop it up, man, and just talk. You know, see what we can do.
Let's share. I gotta get out of here, guys. Peace, love.
Hey,
all right,
appreciate you,
take
man.
care. Love the conversation. Everybody, be good.
Hey, bro, wrap it up. Good one.
Wrap it up. We out of here.